And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. I was very excited to talk to our next guest because she's family, especially during the time that we're living through. Without further ado, I'm just going to say, hey, it's Miss Shannan. Hi, Shannan.
Hello, Jason. Hello, hello, hello.
Well, let me just start off by, we were talking off air and I just said, wait, let's just do this on the show.
Right.
I'm not, for people listening to the radio show, you and I have already talked, but for all of you watching the TV show, I reached out to Shannan shortly after the killing of George Floyd. So let me just ask you, how you doing?
I am doing. That is my answer right now. I am doing. And I am doing a little better every day, because I think as much as this impacted me and impacted a lot of people around the world, we even say, it's also a matter of figuring out how do we proceed from this point, because there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of things that we're all dealing with, but then we're also dealing with real life. Like on top of that, it's how do we continue to be professional at work? How do we go back to our careers? How do we interact with our families and our kids? So all of those things have to happen too. So as much as I would like to be able to just shut down and only process that particular group of emotions, I'm not in a position to do it in a vacuum. So, I mean, if all else fails, I'm still the one that has, my son yelling mom in the other room while I'm trying to work. So and that's what's getting me through, I think, is realizing that as bad as things seem, you still have to focus on those small, sometimes positives, and use those to build up to what we can do to create change as we continue. So that I am doing.
What has been your reaction from what, we're, I believe, 3 weeks? What has been your reaction at seeing the protests, not just here in Minneapolis, the peaceful protests, but around the globe? What has been your reaction to seeing that?
I am encouraged as someone who was a speaker on some of these topics even before, and watching there finally be a combined momentum behind some of these movements and these emotions, and people saying things to me like, thank you very much for sharing your story. I've been trying to talk to my mom about this for years and she really never got it, but now she's getting it. And so those things really are encouraging. I do hope that we find a way for this momentum to continue though, because we know as human beings, we have very short memories, Jason, is how I put it. We have very short memories and things impact us. And then we spend so much time trying to move on and get back to what we thought was normal. And I just like to remind people that normal for many of us was already this. And that's what we've been trying to communicate in very civil ways for years. And now civility has unfortunately got thrown out of the window because of immediacy right now, immediacy.
2 points on that. Don't you feel though, Shannan, and you and I, we're around the same age. This feels different to me. It feels like there is going to be a continuation of this. This moment feels differently to me. And you and I have been through a few of these national moments. And also, so I want you to talk on that, but also again, you and I are the same age. Am I alone in feeling like I have faith in the generation under us? I have faith in the young people that I really didn't even have for our generation, Shannan.
Jason, I'm gonna tell you, that's what's keeping me optimistic, is because I agree with you. My generation and your generation, I do feel, I don't trust us. I'll just say it that way. I don't trust us to keep moving forward with things. I feel as though people liked to get a badge that they could put on their sleeves or be able to change their Facebook profile picture, and then that made them feel better, and then they just moved back into whatever behaviors were problematic before. But I do think that we have done a good job of raising the next generation.
Yes.
They have more fortitude, and they are more likely to follow through on these things and go, no, there needs to be change. And when I ask for change, I want it and I expect it. And I think we also have done a good job with all of the Gen Zs and the Gen Ys in telling them, not only are you allowed to have a different expectation, you're not whining by saying that that is what you're going to continue to work for.
Yep.
If that's what you're saying. You don't have to bottleneck all of those emotions and those desires. And you can have that be just as important as, well, how much did I get paid? Like the culture that you're surrounding yourself with is just as important as, well, what's the title and what did I get paid and how many cars can I fit in my garage?
Well, because I thought, Shannan, think about the era that you and I graduated high school and college. You know, we were part of a generation that, you know, it was expected and statistics told us we were going to do better than our parents.
Right.
And, but this generation, they have already sustained 9/11 as children. They remember the 08, 09 economic crisis, and now they're graduating college in a second economic crisis.
Exactly. And watching all of these, as they put them, those black swan events and things that you couldn't emotionally prepare yourself for, and going, well, how are you going to weather this storm? And so I do think that a lot of the movements that we were seeing, in addition to this, that Alone Together and those kind of things of going, well, we still can figure out a way to weather this and become better and greater and more together, even though we are technically isolated or trying to keep some sort of distancing. Those things I do, again, think are fantastic. And so, you know, I relish every day that I get to, as frustrating as a mom it is to have your kid on you, the fact that they have the license to still be children, that is what we are fighting for. And, you know, and for me in particular with my son and the challenges that I have, that is why I have been so outspoken for this, is trying to give him that ability to feel that he can just be himself and not continually feel like he is going to be handicapped by the color of his skin. And I'm so happy that, you know, my younger sisters who are 10 and 15 years younger than I am feel it slightly less than I did when I was their age. And there's still a lot of ground to cover. And, you know, when people ask me, why do I think this was the moment? I think it's because a lot of us, and especially in that middle age group, that younger middle group, not middle-aged, I mean, I feel like they thought they had made greater inroads and that their opinions were being voiced, and that this desire to build a blended community was being heard. And then this was proof that it wasn't, and that things that they were saying before were not being listened to, and that we did have a number of people here, you know, in our country specifically, that was emboldened to create greater divides.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that now we're going, no, we do have to continue to say that Black Lives Matter and BIPOC communities are important, and that we are not at odds with, you know, LGBT, you know, and transgender norms. All of these things are all of value, and all of those voices and stories have a right to be heard, and we can work on all of these things simultaneously. It doesn't have to be, okay, because you can't, as Jason, you don't have to only work on, you know, LGBTQ problems, and I don't only have to work on BIPOC problems. We can work on them together, because it's a matter of
we should be.
How do we amplify each other? How do
we should be. We should be doing that. Hey, in our remaining second, Shannan, tell us about the newest episodes of Comedy Through the Chaos.
Okay. Well, most recently we did a bonus episode about community trauma. I was very blessed to speak to Dr. Shonda Kraft. She's an expert on community trauma, and she's also the Dean of Health and Human Services at St. Cloud State University. You can find that. And then we're moving on to some more typical topics. So we're going to be covering pride and identity in our next episode. So shout out to that. And then we're also going to be working on FOMO and that fear of missing out and anxiety that we're all dealing with right now. So you can find us at Comedy Through the Chaos. It's on YouTube and Facebook.
There we go. She's our buddy. She's our pal. She's our family. It's Miss Shannan, everybody. Go check her out on social. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.